Welcome to Eurofly. Training.
Eurofly 3 Lukas Hospital.
Charter flight training. Hello everyone, warm greetings, and let me welcome you finally to the first ever official English demonstration of a real-time flight in Eurofly 3, which is exactly what you'll be witnessing right now. And in case you're listening to this or watching this at the time it's been published, you'll be probably very interested in this because Eurofly 3, the new version, the long-anticipated version, is actually coming soon. And by that I mean really soon, like within a matter of days or weeks at the worst. So stay tuned. To those of you who've been expecting it, I'm really glad to be here. To be able to be here finally, and I actually mean it, because I'm aware, just like everyone else on the development team is aware, that you've been waiting for this really for ages, and that there's been several promises, even if maybe just tentative ones, but still promises over the years that it's going to come, get to be released really soon. And yeah, there's been a delay, but just now we're finally about to release it, and still it's never come until now. So we're glad to be able to tell you that it's finally here. Everyone on the team actually believed those promises at the time we made them, but as I'm sure many of you can imagine, real life things often like to get in the way, and busy schedules and families and other duties at work and other places and so on. But let's not delve into this very much, because this is no longer the case. It's actually here, or almost here. It may have been released already by the time you're watching this. So let's not talk about the past, let's talk about the present and the future. To those of you who may be coming to Eurofly 3 for the first time, when hearing this, and may have never experienced the previous versions of the game before, I hope this is going to be as useful as it is to those who know what Eurofly is all about, because they've played it before and they can't wait to actually get their hands on the new features and on the changes on the new version of the game. So, as you've probably heard or guessed by now, even those of you who haven't played it before, Eurofly is an actual flight simulator, an audio simulator for the blind and visually impaired. So you will be flying and controlling a real aircraft, a real plane. There's over 150 of them in total, I believe, different planes. And you'll be flying on the real world map, an actual, real, accurate representation of the Earth, including all the various airports in the different countries that exist out there. So it's partly a game, but it's also especially a flight simulator, and it's also the first ever accessible audio atlas or a way to browse the actual real world map. I'll be demonstrating everything and showing and explaining everything as though none of you have played Eurofly before, because there have been so many things that are new and different and changed in version 3 that essentially nothing has remained the same, except maybe for just a few basic keystrokes. So even if you knew how to fly a plane in version 2, even backwards, you will still have to relearn everything from scratch as though you were a completely newbie pilot. So as you can hear, we are already in the main menu, and we've been welcomed by a new jingle. Those of you who may have known the previous versions have most certainly noticed this, and there are several different jingles in version 3 now. We're going to get a different one every time we start the game, so the welcome is actually going to be slightly different every time. And by the way, before I get started with anything, let me just briefly emphasize and also apologize for my English, because as I'm sure you can hear, it's not my native language, it's my second language. So let me apologize in advance for any mistakes I may make when recording this, and that I'm almost bound to make, actually, because I can tell you it's pretty difficult to but I'm not trying to use this as an excuse, but just as an explanation. It's pretty difficult to actually be flying a plane at the same time. You really have to concentrate on a lot of different things all at once, and to be talking over it at the same time. So let's hope I'm not going to make any mistakes. Cross your fingers for me if you can, and wish me luck, because I really don't want to kill any of my passengers, myself included. But I have my life insurance secured, so hopefully everything's going to be okay. Even if I do get killed, at least my family will not remain poor. All right, we're in the main menu, so let's take at the main menu. Exit, training, charter flights, business flights, scheduled flights, free flights, world map exploration, profiles, speaker test, settings, add-ons, about the program, exit, training. As you can hear, it's actually me voicing the menu for now in the official English translation, because I'm the only one on the team who feels comfortable enough at English to actually do it. And it's a pretty weird thing, by the way, to be hearing my own voice as I'm talking to you at the same time. But we'll not be spending much time in the main menu today, because we are to fly, finally. So let's make a flight from the London Heathrow Airport in England or Great Britain to Manchester, also in England. It's about 240 something kilometers long, so it's going to take a while, and it's hopefully going to give me enough time to explain everything properly, in enough detail as we go. By the way, I'm sorry to those of you who live in the US and are used to the imperial measurement units, like miles and feet and gallons, etc., because I really can't use them for the life of mine. Sorry about that. I've honestly tried to make the game hopefully more approachable to you, but I can't make any sense of them, honestly, and they're really confusing me because I'm not used to them at all. But at the same time, you can never please everyone at the same time. There are certainly going to be many listeners, perhaps maybe even more of them than those of you who are in the US, many listeners from Europe who are used to the metric units. So no matter what I do, there's always going to be someone who is not really happy, I guess. But I believe it's not going to be too much of a problem, because you will be able to just set your game, your personal copy of the game, the way you like it, and use whichever measurement units you like when you start playing it. Charter, business, schedule, free flights. So I'll be doing a free flight.
Free flight dialog. My plane's combo box 1 collapsed.
But I'm actually going to have to rent the plane that I'm going to use, because we'll be flying with the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, which is a plane that I'm not actually qualified for yet in the game. It's not part of my own personal fleet yet. So I'm going to have to...
Filter edit blank. Company planes combo box 1. Filter edit rental offer combo box England badminton. EG 030 euros collapsed.
The rental service that I can use as a pilot for the Eurofly company now in version 3. When doing this, when trying to rent a plane, the first thing I have to do is choose the starting airport, actually. So where we'll be starting our flight, where the plane will be placed before I actually take off with it.
England Doncaster.
So
England London Heathrow EGLL
let's select
0.
England Heathrow.
Plane rental dialog. You are about to rent an aircraft that's not part of your fleet for a free flight. Your account will be charged 0. Do you wish to continue? Ano button Alt plus A.
Yes, I do wish to continue. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. The buttons
Any button Alt. Ano.
Yes and no are displayed in Czech in my native language, so that's why the screen reader reads them wrong. But it's not a bug in the game. It's actually because my system language, my local language, is set to Czech, and I forgot to change it. But I will not be editing it out, just like I will not be editing anything out during the flight. So if I make a mistake and it causes me to stall or to crash because I was talking about something and I forgot to do something vital in the meantime, or forgot to do or couldn't do it in time, Well, let's keep it authentic. I just will not be editing anything out. And that's why I will not be charged anything. I will be charged 0 for this rental because I'm using a tester only, private beta version of the game.
Plane selection dialog. Select Concorde, Boeing 787 Dreamliner.
So let's select the 787 Dreamliner, and if I press enter now,
Europe, UK.
Steering
Dashboard window.
controls ready.
Europe, UK, Greater London, Hillingdon, Harmondsworth, blank.
we are
Airport London, Heathrow.
at the Heathrow Airport, sitting in the cockpit of our plane, and we're ready to get going. But before I do anything else, let me show you the properties of the plane, which have also been greatly expanded and changed in version 3. And in that way, it'll allow us to see what kind of a beast we're actually even flying.
Combo box pilot Lukas Hosnadel, 1, collapsed.
So I've opened them with the control enter keystroke, and the very first line tells me my name and my career level, which is 1 for the time being. So I'm actually still in training. That's why I don't have the qualification for the 787 to be able to fly it of my own fleet.
SKFRE 696, free flight.
That's our call sign that will be used, that the towers, the controls will use when contacting us over the radio to refer to us, and we can hear that it's a free flight.
Boeing 787 Dreamliner.
This is the name of the plane, obviously.
Transport plane jet plane, 3, rented.
It's a transport plane, so it's not like a military plane. It's a jet plane. That's talking about its propulsion. It's category 3, meaning the largest possible type of plane, and it's currently rented, so it's not my own.
Certified.
One more reason for me to be really careful, because I don't want to smash it into the ground. Certified. That means that it's a plane which is a part of the official company fleet of Eurofly, and all pilots are eligible to use it for flights and to be ranked.
Pushback required.
Because this is a large plane, this is one of the new systems, the first one, it requires pushback, meaning planes cannot actually travel in reverse on their own, not to mention such large planes. So if I drive into the gate, for instance, to pick up my passengers, and I then need to get out of the gate and continue going to my takeoff runway that I've been assigned by the tower, I can't do that on my own, using the power of my own engines. So the airport I have to call the tower and ask them to push me back, to send me the pushback tractor, which is going to do it. That's why I need to have, when I'm flying such a large plane, I also need to have a large enough airport. In this case, it means I need an airport of category 3 for a plane of category 3, also with the maintenance services like this, like pushback, to be able to take off there and to be able to move on the airport with this plane.
Condition 100%.
Condition 100%. This is another new feature. In version 2, you may have been used to planes always being, in top shape and perfect working order, and that's no longer going to be the case here. Planes can get, or various systems of the plane can get broken if we crash, or if we, but it has to be just a minor crash while moving on the ground slowly and like crashing into a building. So it can break our lights or our onboard computer or other systems, and then we'll need to ask the tower for repairs. But it can also happen just as the planes age and wear down over time, So
Last system check, none.
The next line tells us that we haven't performed the system check not even once yet.
Number of seats.
But if we have had done it, which I'm going to do now, I'm going to close the properties dialog with escape.
Dashboard window.
And I'm going to press Control Shift Z on the English keyboard, to perform the check.
Starting system check.
And if I now open the properties again.
Certified. Condition 100%. Last system check, just now.
just now.
System check. All systems are working correctly.
And we see that all systems are working correctly.
Number of seats, 289.
This is essentially the tech spec sheet for the plane. Obviously, it's going to be different for each plane. So we have a 289 seats.
Number of passengers, 0.
In total, obviously, we don't have any passengers on board at the moment.
Wingspan, 60 m. Length, 62 m.
Whereas 62 meters long.
Wingspan, 60 m.
Oh, so this is actually quite interesting, and I've never noticed it before. But our wingspan is just almost as much, only 2 meters fewer than the length of the plane, actually.
60. Base weight, 200 t.
The base weight is 200 tons, which is quite a lot.
Current weight, 200,0 t.
And since we don't have any fuel, as we'll find out shortly, and no passengers either, our current weight is still the same as the base weight, but obviously it can change depending on how much fuel we load or how many passengers we board.
Cruising speed, 955 kilometers.
This is the maximum declared speed at which we'll be able to fly.
Maximum cruising range, 15,750 kilometers.
If we had our full fuel tank completely full, this is how far we would be able to travel in one flight, in one go at the most.
Maximum cruising altitude, 13,100 m.
So we can't fly any higher than 13,100 meters above the ground to be safe and to avoid any damage of the engines.
Flap positions, 0/6.
And this is another new feature in version 3, flap positions. You heard that it's at 0/6, meaning they're currently set to 0 out of 6 possible positions or levels. And we can either raise the flaps upwards, which is used for taking off, or downwards, which is obviously used for landing. So the flaps are there to help keep our plane airborne, even at low speeds, in any case. But the difference is obviously that if the flaps are raised upwards, it helps us to get away from the ground and raise our nose. And if they're set downwards for landing, it helps us to brake faster after landing.
Base takeoff speed, 260 kilometers. Base landing speed, 260 kilometers. Current stall speed, 380 kilometers.
We really have to watch these speeds, especially all the current ones, very carefully all the time during flight or until we get to know the plane by heart and we're really confident about all its parameters. Because the base takeoff and landing speeds, again, will be different depending on how much fuel and how many passengers we have. And the same, the base stall speed is always the same, but it says current because the stall speed changes depending on the flaps that I was talking about before. So
current takeoff speed, 260 kilometers.
Currently, with an empty tank and with an empty cabin with no passengers, we would be able to theoretically be able to take off at 260 kilometers per hour.
Takeoff nose angle, 6 to 11, 17. Minimum flap position while taking off, 2.
But we would have to set the flaps upwards to position 2 for that, at least 2. We could set them even higher, but the minimum required for a successful takeoff is 2.
Takeoff nose angle, 6 to 11, 17.
And we would have to raise the nose to an angle between 6, which is the minimum. The optimal angle is 11, and the maximum is 17 for a successful takeoff. If we raised the nose higher than 17 degrees, we would actually lose lift and stall.
Minimum takeoff runway length, 2,700
And we also need a runway which is at least 2,700 meters long in order to be able to take off successfully, to gain enough speed for takeoff.
Current landing speed, 260 kilometers.
And the current landing speed is also 260 kilometers. We can't land at a higher speed than that, or much higher speed, but like more than 20 kilometers higher than that. If we tried it, we would actually crash and break on the ground, on contact with the ground.
Minimum flap position while landing, 4.
But in order to be able to land successfully, we have to have the flaps set to 4 downwards.
Minimum landing runway length, 1,870 m.
And the minimum landing runway length is actually shorter, almost by 1,000 meters shorter than the minimum required runway length for takeoff, because we will be having the flaps set to a higher position for landing than we'll need to have them set for takeoff, which means our the length of runway that we're going to be able to break is going to be shorter for landing. But we need to keep watching the stall speed. If you remember, it said that our current stall speed was 380 kilometers, meaning we would actually stall and fall down to the ground much sooner than we would be able to reach the required landing speed. And that's why another reason we need to use the flaps, because when we retract them beyond zero in either direction, the stall speed decreases, because we're able to they're able to keep us airborne even at lower speeds. So the current stall speed of 380 kilometers would drop below the current takeoff or landing speed of 260 kilometers, which is required.
Fuel tank capacity, 56,700 L. Current fuel load, 0 L.
Currently, we don't have any fuel loaded.
Current cruising range, 0 kilometers.
So we can't travel any distance.
Fuel used, 0 L.
Haven't used any fuel yet either, obviously.
Battery off.
The battery is off, the power supply. So another new feature in version 3, we can't actually do anything at all. Not even start the onboard computer or our radio or our transponder or any of the flights until we turn on the battery or the power supply, which then provides the necessary power required to start all the other systems, including the engines.
APU off.
Oh, APU is another auxiliary power unit, which the larger planes have, but the smaller ones don't. The planes that have it need to have the battery running as well in order to be able to start it, because we can't start any other systems, including the APU, including the engines, without the battery running. But only if we have the battery running, we can start the APU, which is already using our fuel supply a tiny bit. And that's the system which provides even more power than the battery, allowing us on these large Category 3 planes to then finally start the engines, only once the APU is running.
Engine 1, off. Engine 2, off.
We can see that both engines are off.
Gear 1, 0,1%, 2,4%.
And this is talking about gears, and we'll be talking about this in a much greater detail in the upcoming series of audio tutorials on Eurofly 3, which the basic series includes 15 recordings describing various aspects of the program. And then there's an upcoming more advanced series that describes how to actually fly and control in even more detail all the 9 basic planes that are required to successfully go through all the necessary stages of basic training. But very briefly, the gears are talking about the power of our engines, how much power, how much output they're currently producing, and thus at how much speed will be moving, but they're not directly related. In Eurofly 3, any speed or any movement is not, you don't just press a key anymore and that sets your speed, but any speed or course changes are only the result of moving of your engine power, of the engine output, or in the case of turning or climbing or descending, the result of how steeply you bank your wings or your wheels. Think of it like a steering wheel in a car, which if you wanted to turn, for example, to the left, you wouldn't just tap the wheel, just press an arrow key. You would need to keep holding it under a certain angle in the direction that you wish to turn for a while. As long as you wanted to keep turning, you would need to keep holding it. So if you wanted to turn, say, 90 degrees to the left, you would need to keep holding it, pointing or turning to the left for a while. And only after you've turned as much as you wanted and are now satisfied with your current direction of travel, you could let go of the wheel and keep going straight from that point on. And the engine works pretty much the same. You are moving a lever, essentially. The result of or how much power the engines will be running on depends on how far or how high up you've moved the lever, which obviously can be moved between 0 and 100%. 100 is full power, 0 is nothing at all. But even if you set it to 100, it'll take the engines a while to actually reach that full power, to accelerate. Not to mention there's two modes of flight. There's actual flight mode, but there's also the taxi mode for large planes like this one, which are capable of maximum cruising speeds above 500 kilometers per hour. And the taxi mode is used with these planes while moving along the airport, because we don't want to set the engine power to full, the engines to full power and start going like 100 or 200 and more kilometers per hour while on the ground, while on the airport. So if we turn on taxi mode, that will actually make the power lever adjustments much more fine. So that even if we set the power lever to 100 in taxi mode, it will actually only be, the resulting power will only be 10% of the maximum available possible power of the engines. So only a tenth of the engine's maximum power of the possible 100. In order to get the full power out of the engines, we would need to switch back to flight mode. So as soon as we're about to take off, we'll be switching from taxi mode to flight mode. And the gears, you don't have to press home or end 100 times to move the lever all the way from 0 to 100. There are keystrokes either to set maximum power for the given mode or minimum power with a single keystroke, or there is another set of keystrokes to quickly move the power by 10% up or down, or there's a third set of keystrokes which allows you to set the specific gear, pretty much like shifting gears up or down in a car. And these plane properties here, this sheet tells us exactly what percentage of the maximum possible power we'll be able to reach and on any one of these gears.
Engine 1, off. Gear 1, 0,1%, 2,4%. Gear 2, 2,5%, 4,9%. Gear 3, 5%, 7,4%. Gear 4, 7,5%, 9,9%. Gear 5, 10%, 10%. Reverse thrust inactive.
So, as you could hear, Gear 1,
Engine 2,
started at like 0 point something percent and ends at
Gear 1, 0,1%, 2,4%.
2.4%, which is barely enough to even start moving. And Gear 5 actually does not end all the way at 100, but it only goes up to 10, and that's exactly because of the taxi mode. Once I switch to flight mode, the gears, the percentages that we're able to the percentages of the maximum power that we'll be able to reach for each gear will change, and Gear 5 will let us go all the way up to 100. But by the way, it's never healthy and advisable to fly with the very full power with 100 for any engine. So if we want to avoid engine damage, we should only be flying at 90% of the power at the most, at all times, no matter what.
Gear 2, Gear 5, reverse thrust inactive.
Reverse thrust is yet another new system in version 3. Large planes like this one have it, where you can actually reroute the thrust that the engines produce to work in the other direction, to go backwards. So if we need to slow down you don't only need to use. You don't only have you have more options than just using the ground brake after landing, but you can also engage the reverse thrust to brake even faster using the power of the engine. But in that case, remember that if you want to brake harder, you would actually have to increase the power in reverse thrust mode, because the power of the engines is going backwards, but you still need more power to brake harder, if that makes sense.
Doors closed. Cockpit open.
Yeah, our doors closed, the cabin doors, but our cockpit is open.
Seatbelt unfastened.
We haven't even fastened our seatbelt yet.
Parking brakes active.
Parking brakes, I think they are also a new system. As long as they're engaged, we cannot move. And this is a safety feature to make sure you don't drift along the runway while you're not yet ready to do so. You're creating your flight plan or boarding passengers or something.
Landing gear loaded.
You don't want to move. You don't want to move on your own, or the plane to move by itself.
Landing gear loaded.
The landing gear is lowered, which means it's okay, because, and it has to be obviously when we're standing parked in the hangar. So we're ready for takeoff or for landing. We've landed before, so we're now sitting on our wheels.
Current flap position 0.
Yeah, the current flap position is 0. We haven't used them yet.
Onboard computer off. Radio off.
And these are the individual systems.
Transponder off. Communicator off.
Of the plane, all of which are still off.
Atlas off. Sensor off. Status monitor off.
Because we don't even have any power.
Taxi lights off.
Yet to turn them on.
Cabin lights off.
The lights.
Strobe lights off.
Are a new thing in version 3 as well.
Cabin taxi lights off.
These we need to have turned on when we're taxiing on the airport, so that the ground personnel and other taxiing planes can see us.
Cabin lights off.
These are the lights for the passengers, so that they don't have to spend all the duration of the flight sitting in their seats in the dark.
Strobe lights off.
Strobe lights, these make the plane visible from the outside, also to ground personnel, but also in the air, and to passengers who are about to board it, and they're coming over to the gate or stand where we're sitting waiting for them, so that they can see which plane it is.
Landing lights off.
And these are only used when we're about to land and slow down and descend to reach the landing runway.
Ventilation off.
Ventilation.
Cabin pressurization off.
And cabin pressurization are two new systems which also have to be on at all times during the flight, which take care of producing enough oxygen for the passengers not to suffocate in higher altitudes.
Temperature control off.
Temperature control takes care of the weather, obviously, so that the passengers don't freeze or overheat during the flight.
Storm radar off.
Storm radar, when on, can warn us of incoming or nearby storms.
TCAS off.
TCAS is the system that warns planes that are headed on perpendicular courses and are about to crash into each other. So usually the TCAS of one plane orders the pilot to climb, while the system of the other plane orders their pilot to descend.
Stall indication off.
To avoid the crash. Stall indication is another warning system that will warn us if our cruising speed drops dangerously low and we've actually reached the stall speed, the current stall speed of the plane, depending on the position of the flaps, and we're losing lift and we're losing altitude.
GPWS off.
GPWS, I believe it stands for Ground Proximity Warning System, and that's exactly what it does. Because in Eurofly 3, we also have to keep track and pay attention to yet another thing, and that is the terrain, the elevation of the terrain in front of us. Because the map, the map on a map on paper would be, but the actual real world terrain is not flat. It's actually 3D, so there are hills and mountains and ridges and valleys, and all of that cause the elevation or the height above sea level of the terrain below us to keep changing, to keep going up and down as we fly. So we need to keep track of whether there's any hill or mountain or any obstacle ahead of us with a greater height above sea level than what our current altitude is. And if there is, we need to climb higher to avoid crashing into it. And the larger planes like this one have the system which warns us about this by itself. So it tells us to climb to avoid collision with the ground or to change course. But on smaller, simpler planes of category 1, without these automated systems, we have to keep track of all that manually.
Bank angle indication on.
Bank angle indication is an audio cue that plays all the time when we're turning. So as I was saying before, when our wings or wheels are banked to an angle causing us to turn, to change course, so that we know we're actually turning. We're not level. We're not going straight. And that this also is true. This is also true for the nose. If our nose is not straight, we're also hearing this indication.
Audio navigation off.
Audio navigation, I believe this is familiar. We can have this on during flight to keep hearing a continuous tone at all times from the direction of our destination, so that we can tell, even by sound alone, in which direction to go and where to turn in order to be flying straight towards our destination.
Auto navigation off.
Auto navigation, that's essentially the autopilot, or all of these remaining systems are part of the autopilot, which this one makes sure, if enabled, that the plane will always change its course by itself to keep flying straight towards the destination at all times.
Auto speed inactive.
Auto speed, we can set the plane to speed up or slow down to any required speed that we want.
Auto course inactive.
Auto course, we don't have to use the auto navigation to the destination that we have set before, but we can also set the plane to go in any specific course that we desire, which may not have to be the destination. I'll show you this feature in practice and how useful it is when I'm about to land.
Auto altitude inactive.
In auto altitude, we can also obviously, set the altitude that we want to be flying in. Okay, these are the plane
Dashboard
properties, but we need to get moving, don't we? So let's actually start doing something. Let me turn on the battery first. Control-Shift-B, because as I was saying before, without the battery I wouldn't even be able to turn on the onboard computer or any other systems. Now let me turn on the computer. Control-Shift-K.
Computer on. Warning. Fuel warning.
And
fuel
we are
warning.
hearing
Fuel
that
warning.
we're out of
Fuel
fuel.
warning. Computer off.
So let me turn it off just for now, because that warning, that looping warning, is kind of annoying. And let me fix that. With smaller planes, you can just, you as the pilot can just pour the required amount of fuel in yourself. But for larger planes like this, we need to use the radio for this, and we need to contact the tower and ask them to dispatch the refueler for us. So let me turn on the radio, Control-Shift-F.
Radio on.
And let me find out the frequencies of all the possible towers or controls in range that I'm currently able to connect to. We use the key 9 on the numbers row for that.
Combo box London. Heathrow ground control 118,5 collapsed.
And we can hear that there's a ground control.
London. Heathrow approach control 113,8.
And approach control. The ground control obviously controls the planes that are taxiing along the airport, while the approach control is for planes that are flying towards the airport and are about to land on it, as well as for planes once you've been assigned the runway to take off from and you're about to enter that runway. That's when you switch your frequency from ground control to approach control and start talking to them and get the permission to enter the runway and then to take off from approach. But for now, let's
London. Heathrow ground control 118,5.
Let's
Dashboard window.
Talk to ground control.
Set frequency. Set frequency. Edit
Alt
lane.
F to set frequency. 113.5, I believe it was.
113,5. Dashboard window.
No.
Set free
113.6.
blank. 113,6. Dash 113,6.
What was the
Combo box London, Heathrow ground control 118,5 collapse.
Oh, what? 118.5.
Set frequency.
My bad. Sorry. 118.5.
London, Heathrow ground control. Dashboard window.
Welcome to our airport.
The tower has welcomed us, as we can hear. Well, in my voice again, but never mind. No other English towers yet. That will be up to you to change that. In version 3, the towers are no longer static. We actually talk to them. We have to ask various permissions from them, depending on what we're currently doing in our flight. And you always do that by pressing F1.
Combo box board, asking for boarding collapsed.
And here you can see a list of all the possible requests that you can make to the tower at the moment. So, for instance, it wouldn't make any sense to ask the ground control for landing clearance when we're not even in air, not even flying. So that's why you can't see that request here. But you will see it here in the list when flying and when tuned to the approach frequency.
Engines, asking for permission to start the engines. Fuel, asking for fuel. Gate, asking for gate assignment. Plan, I want to create a flight plan. Push, I need pushback. Repair, I need repairs. Runway, asking for runway assignment. Unboard, asking for unboarding.
If I tried to ask for unboarding, for example, at the moment, I don't even have a flight plan created. I don't have any passengers on board and anything. So the tower is context sensitive and smart, so it won't let me do an obvious nonsense like that.
Dashboard window.
SK696. We haven't received any flight plan from you.
I'm about to fix that shortly, thank you. But first,
Combo.
give me some fuel.
Fuel, asking for fuel. Set fuel amount edit blank. 2,000.
Let me do 2,000 liters. I don't know how much that would be in gallons, but that's going to be more than enough for us to make that whole flight successfully.
2,000. Dashboard window.
SK696. We've dispatched the refueler for you.
Before the refueler arrives, let us do some more things, some more preparations from the checklist ahead of time. So let's fasten our seatbelt with Control B.
Seatbelt fastened.
We have already performed the system check, but let's also turn on the systems that we can at the moment, even without the APU and without the engines running, just those ones that we have enough power for, even on battery alone. So storm radar, Control Shift S.
Storm radar on.
Strobe lights, the outside lights, Shift S.
Cabin lights on.
Cabin lights, sorry. Strobe lights are Shift D.
Strobe lights on.
Taxi lights, we'll also be needing them, Shift K.
Taxi lights on.
Let's turn on the transponder, which we'll use shortly with Control Shift T.
Transponder on.
And we can also turn on the Atlas, Control Shift L.
Atlas on.
And communicator, Control Shift G.
Communicator on.
And the refuelers come, so we can already turn on the onboard computer as well with Control Shift K.
Computer on.
This time for good, because we will not be needing to turn it off anymore. We won't be hearing the annoying warning anymore. And now that everything has been done and we've been refueled, let's check out our fuel load with E.
2,000 L.
Exactly as we requested. So let's turn on the APU now with Control Page Up. And that's going to give us enough power when it starts up finally to turn on the engines. By the way, the Atlas is just another panel. If you have it turned on, you can move with the tab key. So you don't only have to be on the dashboard controlling the plane, but you can press tab.
Navigation, Atlas window.
To get to the Atlas window, and you can use the keystrokes that you would otherwise use in the manual world map exploration mode. So as you're flying, without needing to leave your plane, you can check anything that you need to on the Atlas.
Communicator, channel 0,
and the communicator
combo box collapsed.
Would let you chat to or send audio messages, voice messages to other pilots, to other actual real-life players that are currently online and connected to the server and playing Eurofly alongside you.
Dashboard window.
The APU is on, so let's turn on the other systems that we'll be needing for the flight that I was talking about. Let's do
TCAS on.
TCAS with Control Shift C.
Stall indication on.
Stall indication, Control Shift E. Temperature control, Control Shift Q.
Temperature control on.
Ventilation, Control Shift V.
Ventilation on.
Cabin pressurization, Control Shift P.
Cabin pressurization on.
GPWS, the one which warns us not to crash into the ground, Control Shift W.
GPWS on.
And let's also turn on the sensor with Control Backspace.
Sensor on.
I forgot to mention that before. That's another new system where if you're moving on a taxiway or runway, it'll indicate audibly that there's an obstacle ahead of you or off to the side, or that you're about to leave the runway. Let's ask the tower for permission to start our engines, because with large planes like this one, you can't just turn on the engines anytime you want, because they produce a lot of noise and a lot of airflow, and you wouldn't want to, say, knock a random innocent ground control personnel away or something. So let's ask for the permission.
Engines. Asking for permission to start the engines. Dashboard window.
SK696. You have permission to start the engines.
Thank you. Start engine 1 with page up.
Starting.
Engine 2 with page down.
Starting.
And you can hear that each of them is playing from a different place in the stereo field. Engine 1 is on the left, engine 2 is on the right. Since it takes a lot of time for the engines to actually start up, but this is something seasoned players of Eurofly 2 will have known, we'll be told with a voice prompt as well as soon as the engines are done actually starting up. Let's find out where we're located.
West.
S, of course, we're facing west.
Minus 500 hangar 2.
We're in the hangar 2 with the K
300 hangar 2.
and L keys. These two tell us our coordinates on
Ready.
the airport. K
Ready.
announces the north-south coordinate, so from bottom to top. If you were to take the entire airport as a flat surface, as a flat area, as though, painted on a sheet of paper, the lowest number, the first number, would be all the way down to the south in the lower corner, and the higher numbers would be all the way up in the upper part, or on the upper edge.
Minus 500 hangar 2.
So since it says minus 500, we can tell that we are at the very south edge of the airport. And the L key does the same, but for the west, east, or left to right coordinate. So the higher the number, the farther off to the right we are on the map or in the area of the airport.
300 hangar 2.
300, that's also pretty far to the west or to the left, because the maximum coordinate would be like 2,600 or 3,000 or something. And since we know we are in the hangar, which we can also verify with the O key.
Hangar doors closed west.
It says that the hangar doors are closed, so let's open it with Shift O, so that we don't, so that we don't crash into the doors as we try to pick up some speed and drive off the hangar. Let's also find our height above sea level while we're at it. That's done with the semicolon key.
16.
So this airport is actually only 16 meters above sea level, or above sea level.
Airport London, Heathrow.
Yeah, we can find out with F
118,5 London, Heathrow ground control.
our frequency, and it says that we're properly connected to the London Heathrow ground control. So we should be ready. Our engines are running. Let's disengage the parking brakes with B so that we can actually start moving.
Parking brakes off.
Let's ask the tower to assign us a gate or stand to taxi to, where we'll be picking up our passengers.
Combo gate. Asking for gate assignment. Dashboard window.
SK696. We haven't received any flight plan from you.
And I have completely forgotten to create my flight plan. My bad. I was saying before that I'm about to fix it. Well, let's do that now. First, I'm going to pick my destination, where I want to fly, because I believe that's the faster and easier way to do it. So, let's display the list of all the available airports. There are several different ways. You may know them from previous versions, but in this case I'm going to use the list ordered by distance from closest to farthest. So I'm going to press Ctrl F8.
Combo box England, London, England, France, Paris, England, Manchester, EGCC,
England, Manchester, and let's add it as our
330 degrees
destination
to
to navigation with space.
added to navigation.
Let's leave this dialog.
Dashboard.
And let's now ask the tower with F1 to create
Plan. I want to create
a flight plan.
call sign edit read only SKFRE 696.
We can see our call sign here, but you can see that this is a read-only edit field, so we can't change the call sign at any time during the flight.
Select destination combo box England, Manchester, EGCC
And since
collapse.
I just chose the destination before and added it to my navigation, it's already pre-filled in here for us. So another press of the tab
Filter
key.
edit blank.
There's the filter if I wanted to, if I hadn't done this before and I now had to choose my destination manually and there would be like thousands of airports, I could filter or narrow my search down here using the filter field.
Flight description edit blank.
There's a flight description field where other players could see like what this flight is actually about if they were checking the other players that are currently connected. So let's put in something here.
The first official English demonstration of Eurofly 3 by Lukas.
Sounds good to me.
Asking for combo box navigated flight collapsed.
Asking for a navigated flight. That would be a flight corridor that the tower would create for us. For long distance flights like this one, planes don't usually fly in a straight line directly to their destination, but they're flying over designated flyover points. But I'm actually going to ask for a direct flight this time.
Direct flight.
We could also do
Flight corridor through my waypoints.
flight corridor through my waypoints. So not a flight corridor that the control tower would determine for us, but rather, let's say that I wanted to fly to Manchester, then to Birmingham, and then back to Heathrow, all in one flight. So what I could do is I could put all these three destinations into my navigation, excuse me, in the order that I want to fly through them. And if I then chose this option, flight corridor through my waypoints, when creating my flight plan, that's what the flight corridor would be.
Direct flight.
But let's ask for direct flight. Another press of tab.
My waypoints combo box Manchester collapsed.
My waypoints only include the Manchester, the destination for now, so that's in order.
Passengers checkbox not checked.
And there's the checkbox for passengers. Yes, I do want to have passengers, so
checked.
I'm going to check it.
Ask for flight button.
And there's the ask for flight button.
Dashboard window.
SK696. Flight plan accepted. Set transponder to 1517.
Our flight plan has been accepted. We're supposed to set the transponder now. I can either repeat, if I forget, I can either repeat the last tower announcement with space
SK696.
at any time.
Flight plan accepted. Set transponder to 1517.
Or I can also press, in this case, I can also just press Shift T for transponder to hear just the value that's been assigned to us.
1517 SKFRE 696 London, Heathrow, Manchester.
So it's 1517.
1517
Yes. So let's press Alt T to set the code.
Set transponder value. Set
1517.
1517. Dashboard
Now
window.
the tower should finally allow us to start our engines.
Combo engines. Asking for permission to start the engines. Dashboard window.
SK696. You have permission to start the engines.
Oh wait, but they're already running, right?
Engine 1, 0.
No,
Engine 2, 0.
that's just the APU. Okay, so
Stopping.
oh no, they were running. I'm stupid. 0 means yeah, the power. They were not producing any output, any thrust. So that's why.
Done.
That's why
Done.
they were at 0. So again, but we did get the permission though. Never mind. We got it a second time even. So let's just restart them again. What I wanted to do before creating the flight plan and couldn't do because I didn't have any plan. So I just remembered now. Was actually to ask for the gate or stand to pick up passengers.
Combo gate. Asking dashboard window.
SK696. Taxi to stand 5.
Taxi to stand 5. The difference between a gate or stand is that the stand is like a drive-through. You can drive through it in any direction and stop there. And if you've entered the stand, say coming from the south, so facing north, you could then keep going on in the same direction, keep going north and drive through it and leave it at the other side. Whereas a gate is an extension of the actual airport building. So that's why you have to use the pushback to get out of a gate. You can't just keep going straight because you would then crash into the airport building. Okay, so we're supposed to taxi to stand 1. So we can start moving. We are now in the hangar.
Minus 500 hangar 2. 300 hangar 2. Hangar doors open west.
The doors are open, so I believe we're ready. We've done everything. So I'm going to press Alt Home to set the engine power to the maximum, but remember it's only going to be 10% of the overall engine power because we're currently in taxi mode.
Gear 5.
Gear 5.
3.
Keep checking my
6.
current
9,
speed with R.
11, 12, 14,
and once it gets
16,
to
17, 19,
20, I'm
20,
going to choke it
Gear
with
1.
Control Delete.
21.
Fix it so that it doesn't
21. Mike.
doesn't drop any further.
275. 50.
We're now on the mic
304.
on the mic taxiway, which is
338. 349.
which goes north
358.
from
0. 7, 7, 7, 7, 6, 5, 5, 4, 3, 3.
From the
2,
hangars.
1, 1, north. 0, north.
from the hangars, and
Hangar 1.
we left the hangar facing west, but this is a north-south taxiway, so we had to turn 90 degrees to the right
North.
to be facing
Hangar
north
1.
now, and keep driving
Hangar
along mic
1.
facing north, and it'll lead us to the turning which leads to the taxiway called Zulu, and this is the one that leads to
North.
to the stands. So we'll be facing east, I believe. We can bank the wheels by up to 50 degrees, so that means how sharply we'll be turning, and you do that with either left or right, obviously, or with shift left and shift right arrow key for 10 degrees of the wheel inclination with each press. So I just pressed shift right 5 times to
Zulu.
bank the wheels by 50 degrees, and I'm listening to this one.
Zulu.
This sound tells me each 10 degrees that I've turned, so 80,
Zulu.
90.
Zulu. 0.
Press
East.
G key quickly
Gear
to
0.
level my
SK
twice quickly to level my
696, taxi to stand 5.
to level
Gear
my
5,
plane.
21. Choke 23. Set flap position. 6. Dashboard window.
I'm actually supposed to. It helps to extend the flaps down
Flaps
for
set.
landing, even when I'm just driving
23 flaps extended
along the
downwards to
ground,
6.
1.
because that helps to brake faster. So that's what I'm
Stand
doing.
1.
So we're traveling east along Zulu. We can
Stand
hear
1.
the stand 1 turning on our left, and I'll slow down to 10 once we are
Stand
driving
2.
by stand 4, so that I then have enough time and enough room
Stand
to
2.
turn sharply to
East.
the west, to the north, to turn sharply
Stand
by
2.
90 degrees, then to be facing stand 5 again. The layout of the airport is
Stand
something that
3.
you can read and learn
Stand
in the
3.
airport descriptions, airport properties with Shift Enter.
Stand 3.
And what I'll be demonstrating in a bit when we're flying. Stand
Gear 0.
4, so I'm slowing down, Alt End to
21 flaps
Stand
extended
4.
downwards to 6.
set the engines to 0.
19 flaps extended downwards to 6.
Watching my
Stand
speed
4.
with R.
17 flaps
I'm going
extended downwards to 6.
to choke it off again with Control
Stand
Delete
15 flaps
once it
extended downwards
reaches
to 6.
10.
14 flaps extend 13 flaps 13 flaps 13
Stand
flaps
4.
12 flaps 12 12 11 11 11 11 10 flap choked off. Gear 1.
Okay, and once I start hearing the beacon now for stand 5, let's just press Shift
Stand
5,
5.
Shift left many times and turn 90 degrees to the left. 20,
Stand 5.
30, and
Stand
the other
5.
higher, sharper sound, that's the bank angle
Stand
indication.
5.
So that tells us
39.
that we're
Stand
actually
5.
turning right now.
28.
Stand
20.
5.
Stand 5.
Gear 0. 8. 6. 4. 3. 3. 2. 1. 1. North.
I'm braking by holding down the slash key to stand still. So I'm now facing
359.
359. Just 1 degree left of north, but I'm standing still.
0 flaps extended downwards to 6.
In
18 stand 5.
stand
835 stand 5.
So that's perfect. Almost a perfect stop, considering the circumstances, considering that I have to be talking. So let's engage the parking brakes again, B.
Parking brakes on.
Let's ask the tower to board the
Combo
passengers.
box board. Asking for boarding. Dashboard window.
SK696, beginning boarding.
And let's open the cabin doors for them with Control R
Open.
so that they can actually get in once they arrive, you know, once the bus brings them and once they bring the steps for them so that they can climb up into the plane and so on, which obviously takes a while, so that's why we're not hearing anything yet. So while we're sitting here waiting for them, that's why I engaged my parking brakes for safety reasons, so that we don't move even an inch, so that the plane doesn't move even an inch on its own. I could ask for the runway, but the tower wouldn't give me one for the takeoff runway, but the tower wouldn't give me one until I have passengers on board. And we can hear them coming now, finally. We can hear their footsteps, they're boarding and sitting down and taking off their jackets and fastening their seatbelts like proper responsible passengers. That's good, because you don't even know what's coming yet. You have no idea who you're flying with. You have no idea that your pilot is not qualified for this type of plane. If you did, you would never dare board it. But since you don't, your lives are in my hands. Your destiny and your fate is all in my hands. Just stupid. Okay. The last one is about to sit down.
245.
We have 245 people on board. You can hear the sounds of other planes taxiing and taking off and landing around us. Now we can hear the bustle and the speech of the passengers. Let's close the doors, the outside doors, the cabin doors.
Closed.
And let's also close our own cockpit with Alt-O, because this is annoyingly loud and I want to be able to talk. Let's disengage our parking brakes again.
Parking brakes off.
And now, finally, let's ask the tower to assign me the takeoff runway.
Combo runway. Asking for runway assignment. Dashboard window.
SK696, you've been assigned runway 09 left. You can taxi.
09 left. You know what? Maybe this is actually a good time to show you the airport properties. Just like the plane properties are accessible with Control Enter, the airport properties are accessible with Shift Enter.
Combo box pilot Lukas Hosnitl. 1. Collapsed. SKFRE 696. Free
This
flight.
reiterates the call sign of our flight and my career level.
The first official English demonstration of Eurofly 3 by Lukas.
This is the description that I filled out while creating the flight plan.
Boeing 787 Dreamliner 3.
This is the flight, the plane type.
EGLL, London, Heathrow.
And this is the I call sign of the airport, which is actual real world, real life data. This is the unique international identifier for each airport, which is obviously different for each.
Public with maintenance services 3.
This is a category 3 airport. It's a public one with maintenance services, so including pushback and the refuelers and stuff like that.
Height above sea level 16m.
As we've already seen before, this is located to just 16 meters above the sea level.
Difficulty 1.
Difficulty 1, this refers to how difficult it is to land on this airport in relation to the surrounding terrain. So if it's a difficulty 1 airport, that means that the surrounding terrain is relatively flat and shouldn't be too challenging to land on.
Ground control 118,5.
There are the radio frequencies for ground
Approach
control,
control 113,8.
approach control.
Airport description.
And there's the airport description. This is the interesting part and the new part.
Runways 2.
There are 2 runways here.
Runway 09R27L 3657m.
There's runway 09R27L, which is
Runway 09R27L 3657m.
3,657 meters long. The numbers that designate the runways are interesting. Since it's a 09 runway, it means that it goes from east to west, because 90 is due east. You should actually always add one more 0 to the end of the runway designation number. So 09 would become 090, and 27 would become 270, so due west. So it's the very same runway in both cases, but since it's an east-west one, the 27 runway is the other end of the runway actually. So if you were approaching the airport from the other side, you would likely be assigned the runway 27L to land on, and not 09R. L and R obviously stand for left and right. So that's why you have different entrances, different auxiliary taxiways to help you reach the required entrance of your assigned runway, so that you don't, for instance, if you're supposed to be using the runway 27, you don't want to be coming, you don't want to enter it facing east, facing 09, and to go west along the runway actually. So in that case you would be going in the exact opposite direction than what the tower assigned you.
Entrance 09R, Delta, 550, 150.
So we see that we enter the 09R runway from the Delta taxiway, and we can even hear the latitude and longitude coordinates here.
Entrance 09R,
of
Delta,
that entrance
550,
point.
150.
So it's at 550 south, 150 west.
Entrance 27L, Delta Sierra Yankee, 550,
And
3,810.
to get to the 27L entrance, so to the exact opposite end, we would need to be moving along Delta, then turn to the Sierra taxiway once that turning comes, then drive along Sierra, then turn to Yankee once that turning comes, and only from the Yankee taxiway we would see the entrance to the runway.
Entrance 27L.
27L. At coordinates.
Entrance 27L, Delta Sierra Yankee, 550, 3,810.
South, but 3,380 or something east.
Surface, ASP.
Yeah, the surface is asphalt.
Runway 09L 27R, 3000.
Here's the same for the other runway, which is 09L 27R.
Runway 09L 27R, 3,901 m.
Which is maybe longer, if memory serves.
Runway 09R 27L, 3,657
Yeah,
m.
it's like 300 meters longer.
Surface, runway 09L 27R.
So this airport has two runways with the exact same designations that are parallel. They are literally next to each other as you travel along the main Delta taxiway. First, because Delta is always the one that goes north, south to north, that means you would be driving along the 09R runway first, and then along 09L. There are other taxiways like Sierra and Yankee and Foxtrot to help you get to the other end of the runway without going off the taxiway.
Entrance 09L, Delta, 850, 150. Entrance 27R, Delta Foxtrot Yankee, 850, 4050.
You see that we would have to go from Delta to Sierra to Yankee to get to the runway 09...
Surface, entrance, runway 09R 20.
09L, whereas for 09R, it's Delta, then Foxtrot, then Yankee.
And surface, ASP. Runway 09L 20, entrance 09L, Delta, 850, entrance 27R, Delta Foxtrot Yankee, 800.
Oh, yeah, I said them, I flipped them around, but I hope you understand.
Surface, ASP, Hangar 1 Alpha Mike.
To get to Hangar 1, you would have to use the Alpha taxiway, then turn to Mike, and then there would be the turning to Hangar 1, and the same is true for Hangar 2.
Main area southeast.
The main area, which is where we'll be driving along as soon as we leave the stand, the largest chunk of the airport where all the main taxiways are leading off, that's southeast, meaning, you know, at the bottom right part of the airport, and the hangars are thus left of it. If this line
Main area southeast.
said that the main area was located southwest, it would mean that the hangars are located to the right of the main area, and thus they would be situated in the southeast, like corner or segment of the airport.
Number of gates 5.
It has 5. This airport has 5
Number
gates
of stands 5.
and also 5 stands.
Total area 1,450 x 4,150.
Yeah, this is the total area of the airport in meters.
Security zone 200.
There's also a security zone 200 meters wide in all directions around the airport. So if we left the runway or taxiway by accident, we would still have time to slow down or stop and turn around and get back to our designated runway, because there are also a new feature in version 3 are penalty points. If we crash and destroy the plane or stall, obviously that's a major accident and we don't earn any money and any points in the global leaderboard, but on the contrary we even lose them, obviously, because we lost the plane. But you can also get penalty points for minor infractions, like leaving the designated runway, or starting the engines without permission, or entering the takeoff runway without permission, and so on. And for, I believe, 20 accumulated penalty points, you lose or maybe for 10 accumulated penalty points, you lose a point from your earnings. So it can actually move you down the leaderboard and decrease your overall score. But you can check this out in detail in the rules document, which explains all these details, all these principles that govern the behavior of Eurofly pilots, and you can find these rules on the game's official website at eurofly.stafankISS.sk. So these are the airport properties. Have we been assigned a runway yet? Oh yeah, we have. 09 left. That means we'll be having the farthest one from
359
from our current position that we can have.
Year 5.
Let's just fix our direction slightly.
359 north. 0. 13 flaps extended downwards. 15 flaps extended down. 16 flaps 17 flaps extended. 18 flaps extended down. 20 choked off.
We're now in the main area. I have to turn west to get to the stands.
Dashboard window.
SK696. The passengers are already on board.
Oh, I don't need to. I'm stupid.
0. 257. 16 flaps extended downward. 116 main area.
I don't need to worry about passing by the stands.
293.
I have already boarded them.
307. 0. 133 flap. Year 4. Year 0.
Let me not talk for a while.
39 flaps. 35 flaps. 30. Year 0. 30 flaps. 29 flaps extended downwards to 6. 21 flaps extended downwards to 6. 14 flaps extended downwards to 6.
Gate 3.
Let me not talk over
Gate
this.
3.
I need to explain the main area, because the main
Gate 3.
the main area is 300
Gate
meters
3.
wide from south to north, and you can essentially
Gate
split
3.
it into like 3 lanes. The
Gate
bottommost
3.
one, or the southmost one, between the K
Gate
coordinates
229 main area.
of 0 to
Gate
100.
3.
That's where the stands
Gate
are,
3.
from west to east, from left to right,
Gate
along
3.
the length of the main area.
Gate 3.
The south to north coordinates
Gate
between
3.
100 and 200,
229 main area.
so we're already over
Gate
this,
3.
are where the
Gate
main
3.
taxiways of the airport are.
Gate 3.
That's where I'm trying to get, because to get to Delta and then to
Gate
my
3.
assigned runway 09 left, we need to go
Gate
through
3.
Alpha, through the Alpha taxiway, and between
Gate
the
3.
south-north coordinates of 200 and 300
3.
on the main area, in the main area, there are the gates.
Gate
So we can now
3.
hear the turn into
Gate
gate
3.
3 And let's hope I'm not going to
Gate 3.
crash into it.
Gate
Turn
3.
all the way away from it.
6 flaps, 7 flaps extend, 7
Gate
flaps
3.
I
extended
want
downwards
nothing
to
to
6.
have nothing to do with it.
7
Gate
flaps,
3.
305.
Let me turn all the way west.
Gate
298.
3.
I think I'm going to make it.
293.
Gate 3.
Yeah, I'm not going to drive into it because
285.
if I did,
Gate
282.
3.
I would need to ask for pushback.
277. 275. 272. 268.
Managed not to get into it, to drive into it,
0.
which is good.
260. 247 main area. 246 main area.
Let me turn even closer to, or left of west,
251.
closer to south,
247.
in order to get more southward on the main area.
238 main area.
I'm now at coordinates 238,
231.
south to north, which is too far up, too far north.
229 main area.
I need to get to
219. 0. 217. 223 main area.
below 200.
220 main area. 217. 217. 7 flaps extended. 210 main area. 206 main area. 0. 203 main area. 201 main area. 200.
Now let's turn to the right. Let's turn due west,
213.
and we'll reach
260.
the Alpha taxiway.
219. Southwest.
Because if an airplane has an Alpha taxiway, that's one of the 3 possible main ones,
240.
which always goes due west from the main area.
251.
If not a plane, but an
257.
airport, obviously.
260.
If the airport has a Bravo taxiway, that's the same principle.
West.
One of the
271. 270. West.
Main ones.
0 west. 170 main area.
Okay, this should let us enter Alpha perfectly.
439 main area.
And we still have
Gear 5.
a long ways to go, so
9
let
flaps
me
extended downwards to 6.
speed up a little bit.
11 flaps extended downwards.
Bravo,
13 flaps
if
extended
there is a
downwards to 6.
Bravo,
15 flaps,
always
16 flaps,
goes
7, 19, 20 flaps extended
due
downwards to 6.
east. And Delta, if there is one, always goes due north. These are the main 3 possible taxiways. And
334 main area.
but since there are the gates to the north of the main area,
278.
Cabin lights off. Cabin lights on.
284. 200. 274. 268.
Right.
260. 262. 263. 200.
Cabin lights. Cabin lights on.
273. 279. 278. 277. 207. 200. 270. 270. 200. 0.
okay.
Delta.
Paused.
Since there were the gates in the northern part of the main area, and I needed to get to Delta, because I know that runways 09R and 09L lead from Delta, I needed to drive a bit along Alpha first, so to go due west to pass the gates on my right, to get around the gates in the north. And only then, as you can see, as I was trying to align my direction, I was going along Alpha. There was the turning to Mike on my left, which would lead me to the hangars, but that's not where I wanted to go. So I kept going west, and now I'm about to turn due north to travel along the main taxiway of Delta.
Resumed. 20 flaps extended. 294.
Delta.
304. Delta.
I'm already on Delta,
327.
but I need to
335. 341.
fix my
350.
direction.
0, 2, 2, 1, 1, north. 0, north.
Now I'm going due north
632 m. 20 flaps extended downwards to 6.
at a perfect speed along Delta. And I'm about to stop at my designated takeoff runway, which is 09L. And we're finally about to take off. You can see that there's a lot to do even before you can take off. And that it's a complex process. There's the Sierra taxiway, which would help us to get to
Sierra.
27L if we needed to use that.
Sierra.
So to basically to reach the other end of this upcoming 09R runway, let me switch to the approach control though, because I
Set
know
blank. Dashboard window. Combo
I'll
lock
be
London.
needing-
Heathrow approach control 113, Dashboard.
I'll
set
be
free.
needing to talk to them now and to ask them for permission to
London. Heathrow approach
enter
control.
my
Dashboard
runway
window.
and to take off. That's now no more in the power of ground control, so that's why. There was our 09R, we need to
North.
keep going
20 flaps extended
further.
downwards to 6.
And there's Foxtrot, another taxiway,
Gear 0.
which would
Foxtrot.
help us to get to the other end of that 09L taxiway.
Foxtrot.
16
runway.
flaps extended. 15 flaps extended. 15 flaps
I'm
extended
slowing
downwards to 6.
down
14
to
flaps
10,
extended. 13 flap. 13
so
flap.
that I
13
have
flaps
enough time to
12 flap
turn
north. 12
to
flap. 11 flap.
face
11
due
flap. 10
east
flaps.
then,
10 flaps
when the
extended
turning
downwards to
comes.
6.
Foxtrot.
10 flaps extended downwards to 6.
Foxtrot.
This should give us more than enough time, hopefully. And I'm going to ask the tower to give me the permission to enter the runway. You know, there might be another plane there
Switch your radio to
currently
frequency
trying to take off from it or something, so I can't just turn
Dashboard window.
and drive into the runway without permission, but I'm permitted, so that's fine. And here it comes already, so
09L.
I'm turning right, 10 degrees,
09L.
20 degrees. By the way, you can change obviously the interval and the way.
09L.
It can be either sounds or words.
09L.
You can configure this the way you like in the program settings.
09L.
50. 60.
09L.
70.
I'm pressing S
09L.
81.
alongside the indication to make sure.
0.
09L.
91. East. 0. East.
Runway
Oh,
09
nine,
27.
Engines to 0 power and hold down / to brake. Okay, we're standing in
0 flaps
place.
extended downwards to 6.
Let me
Parking
engage
brakes on.
the parking brakes to make sure.
3,890 m.
There's 3,890 meters of runway left ahead of us. You can find this out if you press the K key twice, because K once
856 runway
gives
09
you
L 27 R.
the latitude coordinate or south-north coordinate, but pressed twice tells you
3,890 m.
how long the runway ahead of you is. And the same is for L,
160
which
runway
normally
09 L
tells
27
you
R.
the longitude, but if you press it twice,
11 m.
you'll see that there's 11 meters of the runway behind us. So before I was able to fully brake and fully stop, I traveled only 11 meters of the runway length, of the total runway length, which is an excellent feat, if I can say so myself. Minimum
Minimum flap position. Minimum takeoff runway
takeoff
length.
runway length
2,700
is
m.
2,700 meters, and since we have
3,890 m.
3,890 meters left, we are more than good to go, because that's over 1,000 meters, more than a kilometer of runway length than we need. It's always good to have a reserve when trying to take off. Now, first things first. Let's not forget to switch to flight mode with Shift Delete,
Flight mode.
or we wouldn't be able to take off at all, and we'd be wondering, like, why am I no longer picking up any speed? Why am I stuck at the 10% of the engine's power and at the speed of like 50? Now, let's set the flaps upwards for takeoff, because they're now set downwards for landing. You can
Maximum cruising altitude.
find out in the plane properties
Maximum
that the
cruising rate.
minimum
Minimum flap position while taking off. 2.
that the minimum required flap position when taking off is 2,
Dashboard.
but I'm actually going to set them
Set flap
to
posi-
6,
6.
because I already know this plane and this route very well, and I know that it just helps to gain the required speed faster if I extend the flaps all the way.
6. Dashboard window.
Now, let's ask for
Flaps set.
the clearance to take off.
Combo. Takeoff. Asking for takeoff clearance. Dashboard window.
SK696 cleared for
We're,
takeoff.
we're cleared for takeoff, which is good. Let's press delete to find out the status of the engines, just to make sure.
0. Power. 0%. Gear 0. Flight mode.
Okay, so what, position 0, power 0, but in gear 0, but in flight mode. So that's good. R
0 flaps extended upwards to 6.
now tells us that we're not moving. Our speed is 0, but the flaps are extended upwards to 6. So everything's good. We have takeoff clearance. Let's just check out our current takeoff speed in the plane properties briefly. You can just press Control
Combo.
Enter and keep pressing C.
Cert condition. Current weight. Cruising speed. Current stall speed. Current takeoff speed. 279 kilometers.
279 kilometers. You see that now that we've loaded fuel and boarded passengers, the base takeoff speed, if memory serves, was 260 kilometers per hour, but it's now 19 kilometers higher than that. It's now 279 because we obviously got heavier. So it's going to take more power and more runway length for us to get moving at speed.
Dashboard window.
So let's get going. Let's get in the air. I'll press Alt Home to set the engines to gear 5 quickly, or to 90% of their maximum power, which is actually also the maximum recommended power to be flying safely. Oh, I forgot to disengage the parking brakes. You saw nothing happen. B.
Parking brakes off.
Now, Alt Home,
Gear 6.
and I'll keep watching my speed with R.
2 flaps extended upwards to 6. 5 flaps extended upwards to 6.
I can check out my power and my engine status with delete once more as well, just to make sure.
90. Power. 63/90%. Gear 6. Flight mode.
You see that the power is set to 90% and it's currently at 63. It's about to raise to 90.
90. Power. 90%. Gear 6.
Gear
Flight
6.
mode.
Flight mode. So the engines are fine.
70 flaps extended
We're
upwards to 6.
currently cruising at the speed of 70.
87 flaps extended upwards to
And
6.
we have over
3,550.
still over 3,500 kilometers left ahead of us, so we're fine. We're more than fine.
135 flaps extended upwards to 6.
135. So I still need to speed up by another 140 kilometers in order to be able to take off successfully.
179 flaps extended upwards to 6.
179. Now 100 more kilometers of speed, and I can take off.
202 flaps extended upwards to 6. East.
I'm going due east, so everything's fine.
226 flaps extended upwards to 6.
226. When I have reached 279, I'm going to press
245
shift
flaps
down
extended
quickly
upwards to 6.
to raise the nose by 10 degrees,
256 flaps extended
because
upwards
you
to
can
6.
press down or up, but I don't want to be tapping them 10 times.
276. 280 flaps.
10,
5
20,
more.
30, 40, 50, 60,
My
70,
nose
80,
angle
90,
is now
100, 100, 150.
Pause.
You
Pause.
could hear the GPWS system giving us the readouts of the altitude as it increased over 100 above ground, and you could also hear, but it was probably drowned by the GPWS voice, that the takeoff has been successful. So I can put in the landing
Pause.
gear with Control G.
200,
SK696. Climb to 71.
300.
I can turn on auto navigation to the destination with Alt P.
Auto navigation 400.
I was
raised.
told to climb to
Bradford.
71, to altitude 71, so
500.
Alt Y
Set altitude.
for that.
Set altitude edited.
710.
710.
This
Dashboard
works
window.
just like the
325 flaps
I need
extended
to-
upwards to
oh.
6. Set flap.
Shift F, set flaps to 2, lower the flaps because my cruising speed is already high enough, and if
Flaps
I kept
set.
them all the way at 6, they would be damaged. The altitude designations work exactly the same as the runways in that you add one more 0 to the end of the readout. So if the tower told us to climb to 71, that actually means 710 meters, 710.
383 flaps extended upwards to 2.
383, we're above the
Hounslow West.
stall
West.
speed, above the base stall speed, so I can
Set flap position.
lower the flaps or retract the flaps all the way to 0,
0. Dashboard window.
to not be using them at all, so, and also to avoid them
Flaps set.
getting damaged.
440.
You see that our speed keeps getting higher. Now it's
453.
453 kilometers per hour. We're still turning to our destination. This ding sound is the back angle indication, and the doo-doo sound played every time we turned by 10 degrees. Now it's stopped. So you can see if I check the airport, if I check my position in relation to my destination with the N key. For navigation, it says
Dead ahead at 328,7.
dead ahead at 328.7.
Ruislip.
If I check my course now,
328,7 slash
S.
328,7 auto.
it says auto at the end, meaning we're flying using auto navigation. And if I check my altitude with Y,
711.
it's 711. Well,
Yeah.
that's okay. The tower asked us to climb to 710, so this is okay.
601.
The speed is getting ever faster. The declared cruising speed of this plane is 955 kilometers per hour. And let me check the distance to the airport now.
231 kilometers, Manchester, 22 minutes.
It's still 231 kilometers away, and it's going to take us 22 minutes to get there at our current speed, but since we're still gaining speed, it's actually going to be much faster. One more thing that I wanted to show you is another new feature in Eurofly, because as you can see already, there's tons of different keystrokes, and it's just not possible for anyone, I think, to remember them at all, on the first go, off the top of your head. So there's a help system. There's an extensive interactive help system built into Eurofly. You can turn that on or off at any time with Alt-H for help. So this is actually one essential keystroke that it's really good to remember. Alt-H.
Help mode on. Tree view.
There's a tree view here.
Map 92. Collapsed.
And you can see with arrow keys
plane 39.
that there's several different categories of keystrokes, and there's a lot of them.
Engines 15.
There's 15 keystrokes for engines, etc.
Control
in each
slash
category.
11. Onboard computer 17. Collapsed.
In the meantime,
communicator 1. Collapsed. Other 18.
The map is reading out the villages and towns that we're flying over, but I don't want to be hearing that.
Level 1.
So I changed the location to be set the location to be announced only if we changed the continent that we are flying over actually changed.
Help mode on.
Let's get back to help mode. We could now expand the individual branches, but we can also press tab.
Search edit blank.
To search. And here I can find the keystroke, if I can't remember it, by its meaning or by what it's supposed to do. So let's say that I forgot how to turn on and off the reverse thrust. So I can just type in thrust here into the search field.
Tree view. Map 92. Search edit thrust.
And if I press tab once more,
results combo box control plus page down. Reverse thrust on slash off collapsed.
There's the results. There's only one keystroke, and that says that it's control page down to turn the reverse thrust on or off.
Search edit T.
And there's another
result edit read only less not set greater.
Another edit field where we can just press the keystroke and it tells us what it does. So if I don't know what, say, Control Shift Enter does.
Display all planes currently at the airport.
What does space do?
Repeat the last tower announcement slash in a list or tree view of airports.
Repeat the last tower announcement, or there's another purpose of the same keystroke when browsing the map, and so on. So this is what you can do.
Sound overview combo box automatic operation completed collapsed.
And there's a sound overview. You can browse the sounds with the arrow keys and play one with space. So automatic operation completed means if I was turning like I was before with auto navigation enabled, or I was climbing to the set auto altitude, when I hear this dong, it means that the turning or the climb has been completed.
Course changed by specified amount.
Course changed by specified amount. That's that plays every time I turn by 10 degrees as configured in my program settings.
Bank angle of the wheels, wing.
This plays regularly when we're turning or our nose is not level.
Takeoff or landing runway beneath the plane.
Takeoff or landing runway beneath the plane is a really important one. This is a continuous tone, so you can stop it at any time by pressing space one more time. This will play when we're about to land and we're flying over or above the designated runway.
Sensor warning 1. You are near the edge of the taxiway.
Sensor warning. So when we're near the edge of the taxiway.
Sensor warning 2.
This will get faster in speed as we get closer, and
Sensor
if
warning
we
3.
hear this continuous tone, we're at the very edge of the taxiway or runway.
Taxiway or runway entrance beacon.
You've heard this when I was turning to Delta and then to 09L, etc. And you can also
edit perform the
press
flight to your
tab one more time, and there's various tips which you can browse through with the arrow keys, telling you everything that you can do in this current mode. Currently we're flying, so it tells us anything we can do when flying.
Perform the flight to your destination. Make use of the map and look around you. Make use of the atlas in order to obtain more information. Control plus Shift plus L.
That turns the atlas on and off.
Communicate with other pilots. Control plus Shift plus G. Listen to the radio or background music. Alt plus Y.
Etc.
Explore the properties of the destination. Airport. Control plus F8.
So
Dashboard
that's the
window.
help feature. I believe that's a pretty cool one.
Dead ahead at 159 kilometers.
We still have 159 kilometers to go to Manchester, so I can show you one more pretty cool thing, and that's the descent map of an airport, which is really useful, and we need to check it out, and we need to get familiar with that before we attempt to land if we want to be successful. So let me pull up Manchester again to see its properties.
Combo box England.
Control F8.
England East, England London, England London, England London, England Doncaster, England Manchester, England Manchester.
Now that I've found it in the list, I'll press Shift Enter on it to display its properties.
Combo box pilot.
We saw the airport description, but if I now press Tab,
Combo box descent map collapsed.
there's another panel of the properties, and that's the descent map.
Height above sea level 71 m.
So Manchester is 71 meters above sea level, whereas Heathrow was 16 meters above sea level.
Same altitude, safe circle 0,3 km.
Same altitude, safe circle 0.3 kilometers, 300 meters in all directions around the airport. There are no hills at the same altitude. That means if I was trying to land, if I was approaching the airport at an altitude of 500, and so there would not, and I was 300 meters away from the airport, there would be no mountains or hills or terrain changes in either direction. But if I got farther away than 300 meters away from the airport, there could be a mountain or a hill on one side of the airport. So that's why I have to pay attention to what the GPWS is telling me, or I have to I have to look ahead manually if there's an obstacle with Control semicolon.
Dashboard window.
If there's an obstacle in my current altitude.
Not detected.
When it says not detected, it means I can keep flying on course and I'm safe. There's no hill or mountain in my current direction, in my current altitude.
Dead ahead, 125 combo, 2 kilometer, 5 kilometer, same altitude, safe circle 0,3.
And now it tells me, when I'm 2 kilometers away from the airport,
2 kilometers, safe altitude 142 m, which is 43 m above ground.
I can climb to descent to altitude 143 meters, which is 43 meters above ground. And you'll see, as we're getting farther away from the airport, like this circle around the airport increases from 2 kilometers this time to 5 kilometers.
5 kilometers, safe altitude 144 m, which is 45 m above ground.
The safe altitude also increases. So we have to climb or to descend gradually as we approach the airport.
10 kilometers, safe altitude 165 m, which is 66 m above ground. 15 kilometers, safe altitude 177 m, which is 78 m above ground. 20 kilometers, safe altitude 225 m, which is 126 m above ground.
And so on and so on, all the way up to 100 kilometers. But if you're already flying if you've already been assigned the runway to land, and you're flying on course, you're aligned with the runway already, you can actually descend much lower and much earlier than that, because now you know which side you're approaching the airport from, and you don't need to worry about possible mountains on the other side of the airport.
30 to 100.
That's why
100.
There is a
runway 15.
Runway
5, 12, 27, runway 33. 0, 7. Dashboard window.
Wait.
Combo box.
I
England,
chose
East
the
Midlands, England, Manchester.
Wrong airport.
Combo box. Runway 05R.
This is Manchester, yeah. Runway 05R. If we're aligned with runway 05R and we're approaching it,
0,6 km descent to 89 m, which is 18 m.
we are
30.
And we are 33 kilometers away from it. We can descend to altitude 108 meters, which is
35 kilometers descent to 108 m, which is 37 m above
37 meters above ground. Then when we're at
0,6 km descent
600 meters away from the airport, we can
0,6
descend
km descent to 89 m, which is 18 m above
89
ground.
meters, which is 18 meters above ground. So that's
Dashboard.
useful to know when you're
90 kilometers.
already about to hit the runway, to land on the runway. But as I said, I know this route well, so I remember these values already. I don't need to look them up anymore. But even if I do, there's a few more useful keystrokes to do that. By pressing 8 on the numbers row at any time, I can find out what airport is currently the closest to me, or which airport's controlled area I'm currently flying over.
Controlled area East Midlands 23 kilometers.
Currently I'm in the controlled area of East Midlands. It's 23 kilometers away from me, and if I now press the comma key on the keyboard,
30 kilometers safe altitude 240 m, which is 174 m above
it
ground.
tells me the current safe altitude circle. I'm 30 kilometers away from the airport or more, so the
30 kilometers.
Safe altitude
30 kilometers
is
safe altitude 240 m, which is
240 meters. That's good to know. I could then use the auto altitude to descend to the altitude if I wanted to. I can also press period, which tells me
617 above ground.
how high above ground I currently am. 617 meters.
94.
And 94 semicolon is the current sea level, height above sea level of the terrain.
711.
And 711 Y is my altitude.
66 kilometers Manchester 3 minutes. 0,1 left at 327,7. 327,7/320.
Okay, let me, ahead of time, let me switch my radio frequency to Manchester's approach control, because I can remember it. If I didn't, I could look it up in the airport properties, but I know it's 135.0.
Set frequency 135. Dashboard window.
So that I'll be alerted, and the airport will greet me as soon as I get within range, which is 50 kilometers in this case, because it's a Category 3 airport. You can configure this in settings as well, by the way, but I have it set so that Category 3 airports can be contacted when I'm 50 kilometers or less far away from them.
52 kilometers.
So the tower is going to contact us really shortly. When it does, I'm going to ask for a runway assignment and then immediately for
Manchester
approach clearance.
SK696. Welcome to our airspace.
Runway. Dashboard window.
SK696. You've been assigned runway 05 left.
05 left. Approach
Dashboard
clearance.
SK696. You can begin approach.
Let's slow down.
Gear 0.
Let's turn off auto navigation and
navigation
let's set my course,
Set course.
to
Set.
270. So
270.
due west.
Dashboard window.
It'll take a while for me to turn by 90 degrees, and I have to keep checking my speed because I was approaching the airport on the course of 328 point something degrees, but I
500.
was given assigned the runway of 05, which means I now have to fly around the airport. I have to make a circle until the airport's position in relation to me is not
64 right at 334.
334 degrees, but due 50. Once it's due 50, I can turn to face it straight, directly head on, and that'll be the proper course that I need to be flying
70 right at 340.
in order to land to reach the runway.
849. Controlled area Manchester 35 kilometers.
Manchester 35 kilometers, so I can already start descending a bit as well. The current safe altitude circle for
50 kilometers
50
safe altitude
kilometers
545 m, which is 400.
is
50 kilometers safe altitude 545 m.
45 meters.
Set
So let's set my auto altitude to something a little higher. Let's do 548, maybe.
548.
So
Dashboard window.
I'm
500.
descending a bit.
772. 82 right at 352. 544. Set altitude.
547.
547.
I don't want to be
Dashboard
below
window.
the safe altitude.
549.
549. That's a
Set
bit
al-
too high.
544.
400.
Set altitude. 548.
Excellent. Let's leave it at that.
33 kilometers Manchester 2 minutes.
Uh,
673. 90 right at 0.
It's the airport is now straight off to my right at position 0. Let's
400.
turn a little closer
300.
to
300. Dashboard
300.
window.
Auto course with Alt S.
619.
My speed is still okay. My
548.
altitude is now okay.
83 right at 7. 33 kilometers
Distance is still okay, and the airport is moving ever farther off to the right. I need to get it to to be on course 50 before I turn to face it straight.
72 right at 12. 488
I'm
above
still
ground.
488 meters above ground
548.
at the altitude of 548 meters, so everything's
535.
going fine so far.
76 right at 16. 514. 78 right at 18.
I need to, so I need, now at this point I need to keep checking my speed so that I don't stall, and I also need to keep checking the position of the airport in relation to my
81 right at 21.
current course.
482.
The current stall speed without flaps, without any flaps, is 380, so I need to
84 right at 24.
raise the flaps in time
84 right at 24. 460.
so that I don't stall. But I can't raise them too early either, because if I did, I could damage them,
86 right at 26.
because the speed would be too high.
445. 88 right at 28. 437. 300. 89 right at 29.
500.
Let's turn to
Set
zero
course.
now.
0. 428. 422. 419. 416. 71 right at 32. 411. 408.
I think it's safe
Set
to
flap.
set the flaps to position 2
2. Dashboard
for
window.
landing, which decreases the stall speed from 380 kilometers per hour to 320
set.
kilometers per hour.
394 flaps extended downwards to 2.
I did it perfectly, so I can still keep slowing down, because the current landing speed
Combo
is
box cruising speed, current stall, current takeoff, current landing speed, 278 kilometers.
278
Dashboard
kilometers per hour.
37 right at 37.
I also need to
500.
keep checking
380
the
flaps extended downwards to 2.
position of the
377 flaps extended downwards
of
to
the
2.
airport.
38 right at 38. North.
I still have time.
38 right at 38.
As I said before, I needed to be
39 right at 39.
at course 50.
366 flaps extended
Two-
downwards to 2.
250.
365, 40 right at 40. Set course. 25.
To
Dashboard
25
window.
now.
359 flaps extended downwards to 2. 25 right at 41. 351 flaps extended downwards to 2.
Okay.
25.
25.
17 right at 42.
Airport is at 42. 8 more degrees. I needed to move by 8 more degrees.
344 flaps extended downwards to 2.
344. That's still a bit too high of a speed.
17 right at 42.
I need the speed to get to like 325, and then I'll extend the flaps further to position 4 for landing,
336 flaps extended
So-
downward. 18 right at 43.
so that
333 flaps extended
I'll be
downwards to 2.
safe to keep slowing down to 278, 279, or what it was, the landing speed,
19 right at 44.
the current landing speed.
327 flaps
Okay,
extended
let's
downwards
do
to 2.
flaps.
Set flap position.
For landing to position 4.
Dashboard window. 324 flaps extended downwards to 2.
Flaps set.
321 flaps extended
Did
downwards
it,
to 4.
yes.
20 right at 45.
Without any stalling.
25. 20 right at 45. 21 kilometers Manchester 3
21
minutes.
kilometers. I'm a little bit closer than I wanted to be, but no wonder, considering
21 right at 46.
that I'm also talking to you and describing everything as I go, everything that I'm doing.
21 right at 46. 312 flaps extended downwards
I'm
to
a
4.
little bit stressed out, but not too much. I believe I will be able to make it in time.
22 right at 47.
3 more degrees. Come on, come on, come on.
307 flaps extended downwards to 4.
307. 20 more or something. 30 more to slow down.
23 right at 48. 304 flaps extended downwards to 24 right at 49. 24 right at 24 right at 24 right at 24 right at 302 flaps 24 right at 49.
500.
Choke 24 right at 49.
I'm going to
24 right at 49.
Choke the speed for now.
25 right at
because
50.
I need to focus on turning now.
25 right at 50.
Turn right, 25 degrees.
0. 3 right at 51.
Oh no, I screwed it up.
0.
So let me
500.
0. 20 30 0.
400.
15. 0. 20
300.
15 0.
no.
40 15. 25.
200. 100,
0.
100, 190, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. Radio off. Communicator off. Atlas off.
And I was turning too sharply. I panicked. You can't just turn the wheels. You can't just turn the wheels
Flight
or
evaluation
wings.
dialog. Edit flight.
I mean, on the ground, you can bank the wheels by up to 50 degrees to either left or right, obviously. But while flying, you can only bank the wings by up to 25 degrees. If you do more, if you panic like I just did, you can do more. You can set the bank angle of the wings to like 50. But if you do, that's just too steep of a bank angle. You will not be able to recover from that anymore. And it's just an unrecoverable stall all the way to the ground, like what just happened. So
Flight evaluation.
we can read
Fatal
the
stall. Fatal
flight
stall.
evaluation
Flight
here.
length 272 kilometers. Flight duration 33 minutes. Points -10.
It's a real shame because we were almost about to land
Earnings
successfully.
-20. Minor crashes 0. Penalty points 1. Started engines without permission. Cause of fatal stall. Bank angle too steep. Cause of fatal stall. Bank angle too steep. Blank. Blank. Dashboard window.
Press enter to quit. Free
Eurofly 3 Lukas
flights.
Hosnadel window.
But you know what? I know I said I wouldn't be editing anything out, which I won't. But I've changed my mind. I can't just end this here like that. I can't allow myself to end the recording with a crash, with a stall. So what I'm about to do, I'm going to take literally the same flight with the same plane from the same airport to the same airport. I'm going to pause the recording here and I'm going to resume it again when I'm turning and descending to align myself with the landing runway. Obviously, I'll be having a different call sign this time, but I will do it again this time, and I will do it proper because I don't want to let you down, and I don't want to let myself down. Well, I've already let the 217 or how many passengers I had down, who are dead now, but I believe that everyone deserves a second chance, including myself. So in order to finish this recording on a happy note and a successful note, I'll be right back with you when I'm in the air again and I'm about to face the airport, the landing runway. All right, I'm back. I'm
27 kilometers.
27
Manchester,
kilometers away from Manchester, a little bit farther away than before.
330 flaps extended downwards to 2.
30, let me do flaps
Set flap
for landing to
Dashboard
speed to
window.
position 4 because stall speed is 320 at the moment. And current landing
set.
speed is...
Current takeoff speed. Current landing speed 275.
275.
Dashboard 41 right at 41.
And let me focus on piloting,
Set course.
only on
25.
piloting for
Dashboard
now,
window.
a little bit, so that I don't crash again. I've explained the principle anyway, and I'll explain the rest as I go.
316 flaps extended downwards to 4.
We should be fine
548.
to go now.
30 kilometers safe altitude 545 m, which is
As long as
474
I
m above ground.
don't screw up
311
anything.
flaps extended downward. 311 flaps extended downwards to 4. 18 right at 43.
Okay.
18 right at 43. 25.
So I can't start turning too sharply like I did before, or I'm going to
19 right at 44.
stall.
303 flaps extended downwards to 4.
275, yeah, is landing speed. Okay.
19 right at 44. 25. 22 kilometers Manchester 4 minutes. 299 flaps extended downwards
Still
to 4.
closer than I would like to be,
20 right at 45.
but never mind.
25. 295 flaps extended downwards to 4.
20 more kilometers to slow down.
21 right at 46. 293 flaps extended downwards to 4.
This is really difficult to concentrate and to talk at the same time, and I have to concentrate here.
22 right at 47. 290 flaps extended downwards to 4.
I don't want to screw up.
22 right at 47. 288 flaps extended downwards to 4. 22 right at 47. 286 flaps extended downwards to 4. 23 right at 48.
If I have at least 280,
284 flaps extended downwards
I
to 4.
can
24 right at 49.
choke the engines.
282 flaps extended downwards
Keep
to
it
24 right at 49.
going.
281 flaps extend 281 flaps 24 right at 49. 280 flaps extended downwards to
500.
choked off. 24 right at 49.
Excellent.
25 right at 50.
Now,
31. 30, 37, 38, 40,
course 40.
43. 0 dead ahead at 50.
Yes, dead ahead at 50.
Dead ahead at 50. 279 flaps extended
279
downwards
is my current speed, which is okay. I can land at 279 kilometers per hour.
to 4. Dead ahead at 50.
Dead ahead at 50.
16 kilometers,
16
Manchester, 3
kilometers though. I know I can already
Set up.
descend to 108 meters
108.
altitude
Dashboard window.
when I'm
500.
aligned with the
279 flaps extended downwards to 4.
with the runway, because I remember it. But if I didn't, I could look it up in the airport properties. Let's set the flaps
400.
for landing
6.
all the
Dashboard
way
window.
up to 6, so that I can brake as fast as I can. Let's lower the landing
Flaps
gear
set.
with Control G.
300.
I'm still
Collision with
descending
McGround
in the
imminent.
meantime.
Lloyd. Collision with McGround
13
imminent.
kilometers Manchester 2 minutes. 13 kilometers Manchester 2 minutes.
Yeah, GPWS is warning me of an
Climb.
imminent
Collision
collision
200.
with the ground, but I know it's an okay altitude. I'll still be like 70 meters.
150, 140,
above the ground.
130, 120,
And it's safe to be this low when aligned with the
110,
runway.
90, ground imminent. 80,
71 above
71 above ground, yeah.
ground. 1 right at 51. 11
climb,
kilometers
collision
Manchester
with
2
ground
minutes.
imminent.
1 right at 51. 11 kilometers Manchester 2 minutes.
Climb, collision with McGround imminent.
1 right at 51. 50. 9,7
Climb,
km
collision
Manchester
with
2 minutes.
McGround
279
imminent.
flaps extended downwards to 6.
Flaps, gear,
50.
speed, direction,
Climb,
yeah, a bit.
collision with McGround
Altitude,
imminent.
41 above ground.
that's all good.
8,8 km.
When I'm 5 kilometers away
Climb,
from
collision
the
with McGround
airport,
imminent.
I can press Control S to invoke the ILS system.
SK
Which runway do I have?
You can
Climb,
begin
collision with
Oh, no.
McGround imminent.
Dashboard window.
SK624. You've been assigned
Runway
05 right.
05
Climb,
right.
collision with
7,5
McGround
K.
imminent.
ILS will offer, you know what?
GPWS off.
ILS will offer the runways that are available.
SK624.
Meaning
You've been
05L
assigned
or
runway
05R.
05 right.
6,4 km Manchester.
And when I choose one, so 05 right, the runway will start sending out a radio beacon of some kind, which then auto guides my plane in order to
5,3 km.
stay on course, stay aligned with the runway, but it can
4,9 km
only be
Manchester.
done.
Combo box 05L collapse. 05R. Dashboard window.
Yes, only be done when I'm close enough to the airport.
1 right at 51.
Now you can, if I check my course, you can hear
51,2 ILS.
that I'm 51.2 on course 51.2, but it says ILS, meaning I'm being guided
1 right at 51. 3,6 km
to
Manchester
the
0 minutes.
airport. Okay, I should be.
279 flaps extended downwards to 6.
I should actually be okay.
Last system length. Landing gear lowered. Dashboard.
Gear lowered. Altitude
107.
is
46 above
46 above ground.
279 flaps
Speed
extended
is
downwards to
okay.
6.
Flaps are okay. Direction is okay.
1 right at 51.
Since I'm
51,1 ILS.
on
40.
ILS. All right.
1,9 km Manchester 0
In
minutes.
Eurofly 3, you can't just, land anywhere near the airport and just lower the nose. You have to be aligned with the runway like I just did. You have to be no more than 20 meters above the ground, otherwise you would stall and break the plane.
0,5 k.
If you are, let me get 20 meters above the ground only.
31 above 30
30
above ground. 29 above
Airport.
29 above 28 above 27 above 26 above 26 25 24 24 23 above 22 22
Runway
21
0
above
20
above 9 0
And land.
0
When you're 20 above ground, you
10.
level the
Landing
nose,
successful.
and set the engines all the way down to 0 and essentially let the plane fall.
Taxi mode.
85 flaps 82 flap 79 flaps extended 73 flaps
Let me
extended
brake
downwards to
by
6.
holding slash
64 flaps
all the way to 50
58
kilometers
flaps
per hour.
55 flap 54 53 52 51 flap 51 flap 50 flaps
And
extended
choke the engines
off.
here.
49 flaps extended downwards to 6 1965 m 1944 m
We have 1944 meters left
50,0 ILS
of the runway ahead of us, which is perfect. We're on course because ILS is guiding us. I need to traverse the rest of the runway, so that's why I sped up.
49 flaps extended downwards to
And
6
it's excellent because we did it without having to stop all the way. As it should be. If you've ever flown on a plane in real life, you'll have noticed that the plane did not just stop, after landing, brake all the way to a full stop, and then pick up less speed again.
1 powered 0,0% gear 1
Yeah,
taxi
we're
mode
in taxi mode.
49 flaps extended downwards to 6
Flaps for landing. Oh, and I believe I forgot to ask for the clearance to land.
Taxi lights off. Landing lights on.
Yeah,
Landing lights on.
I forgot about the
1,235 m
taxi and landing lights. to turn off taxi lights after takeoff, to turn on landing lights before landing, and I forgot to ask for the clearance to land, which is pretty bad, but
1065 m.
you know, shouldn't be happening at any cost. We essentially landed without clearance, so I believe, I'm almost sure I'm going to get penalized with penalty points for that. We'll see it in the end in the flight evaluation, but never mind.
825
things like that happen. Let's
Combo
switch
box, Manchester
our
approach control
frequency
135, Manchester ground
to
control 118,6.
Manchester
Dashboard window.
ground control
Set
118.6.
Manchester ground control. Dashboard 684 m.
Let's slow down and let's
Combo box gate.
ask
Asking
them
for
to
gate
assign
assignment.
us a gate.
Dashboard window.
SK624, taxi to stand 1.
We're supposed to taxi to stand 1 to onboard
38 flaps
our
extended downwards to
passengers.
6.
Alright,
528 m.
let's slow down to 20 now.
33 flaps extended downwards to 6.
20 kilometers per hour to make our movement faster. If we went safer, to make our movement safer, because if we were going faster than that, we may not be able to turn by 90 degrees on time.
22 flaps extend 22 flap 21 flap 21 flap 20 flap 20 choked off 20 flaps 368 m.
We still have 368 meters of runway ahead of us to go. We're supposed to go to stand 1, was it?
SK624, taxi to stand 1.
Yes.
50,0 LS.
The next runway ahead of us, because I know this airport, I know it's going to be Yankee and it's going to be facing due east. The turning is going to be due east. We're currently on course 50, but Yankee is a north-south taxiway, so I'm going to need to turn to get to the runway, to turn due east, and then when I am on the runway, I need to turn by 90 more degrees to the right to be facing due south. That'll lead me to the Sierra taxiway. Then I'll need to traverse that. That'll lead me to Delta. Then I'll need to turn again, traverse Delta, all the way to Mike and to Zulu, and Zulu will finally lead me to the stands. Here we go. The Yankee taxiway on our right at course
Yankee.
90.
0,
Do-
95,
Oh,
94, 93, 92, 91 east.
and now turn all the way to go south.
119. 20 flaps extended downwards to 142. 152. 160. 169. 0. 182. 181. 181. South. 0. 107. 100. 100. 100. South. 0. South. 1924 m.
1924 meters, so
You're
we
fine.
can speed up all the way to 50 kilometers per hour again to traverse the Yankee faster.
South.
We're now going due south.
29 flaps extended downwards to 6.
You can check
32
the
flaps
angle,
extended
the back
downwards to
angle of
6.
your nose at any time.
34 flaps. 35 flaps.
T
36 flaps extended
and
downwards to 6.
of your wheels while on the ground,
41 flaps
or
extended
wings
downwards to
while
6.
airborne.
43 flaps
with
extended
T
downwards to
at
6.
any with G at any time.
47 flap. 48. 49. 49. Choke. 50 flaps extended
And
downwards
if
to
you
6.
press T twice, rapidly in short succession, you level the nose, and if you press G twice rapidly, you level the wings or wheels. So that's how it works.
1,509 m.
Still 1.5 kilometers left. We can check our coordinates.
1,854 Yankee.
We're still all the way up north,
2,550 Yankee.
and even more farther to the right, to the east, because the coordinates, they tell you the name of the taxiway or runway that you're currently moving on, but the coordinate system, the numbering, the entire numbering, refers to the whole overall area and size of the airport.
50 flaps extended downwards to 6. 1,062 m. 1,443 Yankee.
You can see
1,410 Yankee.
that our south-north coordinate
1,361 Yankee.
is decreasing,
South.
so we're going south,
1,311 Yankee.
and we
1,278
can
Yankee.
see in the coordinates that we're actually
1,239 Yankee.
getting closer and closer to the south
1,187 Yankee.
part, south edge of the airport.
696 gear
Oh my
0.
god, let me slow down.
43 flaps extended downwards to 6. South.
Because our turning to Sierra is coming. I believe that'll be on our right.
South.
We'll be going west.
32 flaps extended downwards to 486 m. 29 flaps extended
It's still
downwards to
okay.
6.
I am panicking
27 flaps extended downwards to
needlessly.
6. 26 flaps
Well,
extended
I don't
downwards
want
to
to
6.
crash
24 flaps
or
extended
leave the
downwards to
runway
23 flaps. 23 flap. 22 flaps
because I
extended.
didn't
22
turn
flaps. 21
in
flap.
time.
21 choked. 20 flaps extended downwards to 6. 375 m.
because that would also earn me more penalty points. But other than that, we're pretty safe now.
20 flaps extended
Now that
downwards
we're
to 6.
just on the ground and only taxiing along the
1 hour,
airport.
0,0%. Gear 1. Taxi mode. 291 m.
Still 291 meters of
721
Yankee to go.
20 flaps extended downwards to 6.
Pretty fine.
South.
We're going to south. Okay, everything's fine. I'm just triple and quadruple checking everything at this point because I really don't want to be. I really don't want to have to redo this whole thing all over again. But I think we're fine. I'm way more nervous than my passengers are. I hope, and that's exactly how it should be. So you see, this airport has a different layout. It has the runways 05, 0523. 0523 is a 0523L or 0523R, and they're not beginning
Sierra.
straight at Delta. We have to go through
Sierra.
these Sierra and Yankee taxiways in order to get to the runways.
0.
Sierra.
So that's why you need to
249. 257.
Sierra.
262.
learn the
273. 274. 275. 276. 0. 390 Sierra.
yeah.
276. 2002. 274. 273, 272, 272, 271 west, 260, 200 west, 0 west,
That's why you need to learn
396 Sierra,
learn
396 Sierra,
the layout
2171
of each airport individually, preferably before landing on it or before taking off from it, while you still have time, by looking at its properties as I was describing before. Now,
2087 M,
2 kilometers of Sierra ahead.
20 flaps
We're
extended
going
downwards
at
to 6,
20
west,
due west. Okay. And you can see
396 Sierra,
that our coordinates
396 Sierra,
are staying the same. 396 the latitude, meaning
396 Sierra,
pretty low down in the southern part of the airport by now.
2076 Sierra,
Now it's our longitude, the west to east coordinate,
2035 Sierra,
that is decreasing.
2026 Sierra,
Since we're going,
west,
we were all the way to the east, and we are now going west.
2002 Sierra,
So it's decreasing. We're moving essentially more to the left part of to the left edge of the airport.
1946 Sierra, 1700, Year 5,
Let me speed up a bit more again because this is taking forever.
28 flaps extended downwards to 6,
I hope the passengers are having a good time at least.
34 flaps extended downwards to 6, 37 flaps
Well, me
extended
too,
downwards,
but
39
because
flaps extended downwards to 6,
I got pretty relieved
42 flaps extended
by the
downwards to 6,
fact
45 flaps
that
extended
I was
downwards,
able
46
to
flaps
land
extended, 47 flaps, 48 flaps, 49 flaps
not
extended
crash
downwards, choked up, 51 flaps extended
this time
downwards to
around,
6,
which is pretty good.
1400, Year 5, 53 flaps extended downwards to
Let me
6,
speed up a bit more.
55 flap, 56, 57, 57, 58 flap, 59, 60 flaps, 60 flap, 61 flap, 61 flap, 62 flap, choke, 63 flaps extended down, 396 Sierra, 1261 M.
Still over 1.2, almost 1.3 kilometers to go on Sierra. Excuse me.
1037 M.
Then we'll be coming to Delta, and we're about to get to Mike and to Zulu into the stands. We're supposed to go to stand 1, right? Is it?
SK624, taxi to stand 1.
Yes,
763 M. Gear 0.
that's right. Slow down to 20 again.
54 flaps extended downwards to 6. 49 flaps extended downward, 584 M. 42 flaps extended downwards to 6.
Because we don't want to pass the junction
36 flaps extended downwards to
because
6.
you can't turn 180 degrees with such a large plane. The taxiways and runways
29 flaps extended
are
downwards to
too
6.
narrow for that. Even on
27 flaps
high
extended
speeds,
downwards. 26 flaps extended. 25 flaps extended. 25 flaps
you
extended downwards.
would
24 flaps extended
leave the
downwards to
runway
6.
anyway.
22 flaps. 22 flaps
The
extended
tower
down. 21
would tell
flaps.
you
21 flaps.
that
20 flaps extended.
that it is
choke
the
off.
case,
20 flaps extended downwards
and
to
it would
6.
tell you to get back to your path, and
288 m.
you would get a penalty point. 1 penalty point per 1 runway departure. Like if you're moving outside of the designated runway or taxiway numbers, names, in an basically undefined area of the airport, like in the grass beyond the runways, that's a penalty point. That's not supposed to be happening.
152 m. West.
Going due west on
396 Sierra.
There's the turning to Delta,
Delta.
and we'll be turning left.
West.
Delta.
When we get to Delta, we need to reach it first. We need
Delta.
to the name to be announced, like the zone that we are
Delta.
currently in. And once it is,
Delta.
we can't be doing due west anymore because Delta is a south
Delta.
north
Delta.
taxiway. So turning left
258.
to go due south again.
Zero. 179. 100. 100. South. 0. South. 116 m.
That was
103 m.
pure work.
Alpha.
There's Alpha.
South.
Alpha.
We need to be going east along Alpha because
Alpha.
we don't want to be going west.
Alpha.
South.
So we'll turn left, 90 left
Alpha.
once again, as soon as we're
Alpha.
on Alpha.
Alpha.
Now. And that'll lead us to Mike.
Zero. 88. 88. 88. 88. 89. 89.
Mike, we want to
Mike.
go
119. 130.
Mike.
142.
we need to go south again.
151.
Mike.
162. Mike.
Mike.
181. South. South. 624 m.
And this is going to take us to Zulu. If we passed the Zulu junction, we would be going to the hangars, which we can't. We can't park the plane in the hangar yet because we need to onboard the passengers first.
Zulu.
There's the Zulu junction to our left,
Zulu.
due east.
20
Zulu.
flaps extended downwards to 6.
Zulu.
Zulu. 108. 98.
90,
88.
due east.
88. 88.
No.
88. 89. 89. 89. East.
Now it's due east.
660 m. Gear 0.
And
18 flaps extended downwards
is
to
it
6.
going to be stand 5 first?
17 flaps
or
extended
stand
downwards
1
to 6.
first?
16 flaps
on this
extended downwards to
airport?
6.
I don't remember.
15 flaps extended. 14 flaps extended downward. 13 flaps
So
extended.
let me
13
slow
flaps.
down
13 flap. 12 flap. 12 flap. 12 flaps. 11
Just to
flaps
make
extended.
sure.
11 flap. 11 flap. 10 flap. Choked off.
So that I
Gear
don't
1.
overrun it. Which one is it? Come on.
Stand 1.
1. Oh, okay.
Stand 1.
Better. It's a good thing that I
Stand
slowed
1.
down.
Stand 1. Stand 1.
39.
I need to turn due
Stand
north.
1.
I won't probably be able to make it in time. But I can
Stand
stop
1.
anywhere in the stand. That's the benefit.
Stand 1.
9.
I will be able to make it. Okay.
Stand 1.
350. 300. 300 north. 0. Gear 0. North.
Drake, full stop.
16 stand 1. 447 stand 1.
Wonderful. I can turn off the sensor because it's annoying.
Sensor off.
I won't be moving anywhere anymore.
North.
I know that so I actually probably turned a bit too early and I'm close to the right side, right edge of the stand. But since the stands are essentially free to drive through, nothing would happen. I would just leave the stand. But if this happened in a gate, if I was in a gate and I kept going right or turning right, as I was saying at the very beginning, I would just crash into the gate and get wrecked. So,
North.
let me park,
Parking brakes on.
engage the parking brake. Let me open the cockpit door so that we can hear everything better. Our happy passengers who seem to be okay. Let me
Combo box board. Asking for unboard. Asking for
ask the tower to unboard them,
dashboard window.
SK624, taxi to stand 3.
and let me... Hey, it's stand 3 now? I believe it was 1.
Combo box doors closed. Dashboard window.
Genuinely certain.
Parking brakes off.
Never mind, then the tower corrected me. So let's go right. Let's go east to stand 3 then. Okay.
Gear 5.
Why not? You know,
8 flap choked off. 8 flaps extended downward. 8 flaps extended downward. 15.
can
Gear
happen.
5.
Can happen any
11
time.
flaps. 12 flaps. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 17. Gear 0. Choked off. 54. 58. 60. 69. 79. 89.
Stand 2.
97. 0. 100. 101.
Stand
101. 100. 199. 99. 99. 98. 98.
Stand
97.
2.
97. 97. 96. 96. 96. 95. 95.
Stand
94.
We're now in the
94.
in the
93. 92. 92. 91. 0.
area, as you can hear.
91. 18 flaps extended.
Stand 3.
15 flaps extended. Gear 0. 14, 14, 14, 13, 14, 12, 11, 11, 10 flaps. Choked off. Gear 0. 134. 0.
Okay, I'm standing totally like parallel, not straight at all in the stand, but I'm in the stand. Let's not
44 stand 3.
tempt it any further.
629 stand 3.
So let's try this again. Engage the parking brakes.
Parking brakes on.
Open the cockpit doors. Ask the tower to unboard them.
Combo.
Already, finally.
Unboard. Dashboard window.
SK624, starting unboarding.
Thank you. Open the doors, the cabin doors for them so that they can get the hell out.
Opened.
And you know what? I believe we can turn off the engines
Stopping.
and the APU.
Ventilation off. Cabin pressurization off. Temperature control off. TCAS off. Stall indication off.
And the battery.
Radio off. Transponder off. Taxi
Done.
lights off.
Done.
Cabin lights off. Strobe lights off. Storm radar off. Computer
Status
monitor
off.
off. Communicator off. Atlas off.
And unfasten our
Seatbelt
seatbelt.
unfastened.
Because we don't need to do anything anymore. We don't even need the radio for anything. Because as soon as they get out, the flight will be over. We'll be ranked and evaluated. We did not do as good as I hoped to, but never mind, because it could have turned out worse too. I could have spent more attempts than just 2 on recording this, you know. I'm basically just glad it turned out the way it did, even though I crashed the first time. We have finally safely arrived in our destination, and that's the only thing that counts in the end. The only thing that matters, history is never going to ask about the first attempt. We'll pretend it did not happen, and let's just pretend it never did. Let's just forget it ever did. Flight completed.
Closed.
You have leveled up. I closed the doors. I have leveled up. I've completed the flight. The
Flight
passengers
evaluation dialog.
are safe in their final destination, and I can have a day off as a pilot. I can go get a beer or something. But before I do that, let's take a look at the flight evaluation together.
Flight evaluation. Successful flight.
Successful flight. Like I said, that's what counts. That's what matters, not the crash before. Shash, what are you talking about? What crash? There was no crash, ever.
Successful flight. Flight length, 295 kilometers. Flight duration, 48 minutes. Points, 1.
Let me see. I even gained a point. Okay.
Earnings, 1.
And I earned €1.
Minor crashes, 0.
Minor crashes,
Penalty
0.
points, 0.
Penalty points, 0. So but of course, because I did not ever depart the runway without permission, or enter the runway without permission, or start the engines without permission.
Blank. Blank.
I did not do anything. So, you know what? I know you keep repeating the word crash, but what are you talking about? The flight was a complete success. And there was no
Dashboard.
mistakes or errors ever. It was the golden standard of how flights in Eurofly 3 should be done, even with Category 3 airplanes, which I don't even own anymore, which I don't even own yet. But who cares about that, you know? It's like... what matters is that you saw... No. Let's all joking aside. Press enter to quit. Free
Eurofly 3
flights.
Lukas Hostel
Let's
window.
get back to the main menu. All jokes aside, I really sincerely hope you've enjoyed this, because it was, after all, a complete flight from start to finish, as it should be. Everything included, all the steps in the checklist that you need to do in order for your flight to be successful in the end. Well, besides asking for the landing clearance, and besides the taxi lights and landing lights, but these are actually quite minor infractions that, as you can see, I was not even penalized for. I should actually be penalized for landing without clearance. I'm probably going to report that one as a bug. But other than that, I think it turned out pretty okay, considering all I had to do and all I had to explain in the meantime, with literally almost no waiting for me to finish my explanations. So that was it. That was the first official English demonstration of Eurofly 3 for you. Almost half a year, well, not almost, exactly half a year after the Slovak one. We were actually genuinely believing by the time the Slovak one, which is still available on this YouTube channel, was published. We did actually believe it's like a matter of a couple days or a couple weeks at the very most for the game to come out and to get released. But as I was saying before, real life schedules were getting in the way, as well as more bugs to fix, more bugs that were being discovered, more new features or changes, really important and necessary ones that were being asked for. For example, the landing process, the way you land, as I was just demonstrating a while ago, the way it's currently done in version 3 was still different, and it was still the old one from version 2 by the time the Slovak presentation was being recorded. So that's it for you. That's the English demo for you. Hope you liked it. You found it entertaining, but not only that, but I also hope that it actually taught you or showed you the very basic principles of how to start doing things, so that you have at least a rough idea of how things are done and what is what once you start playing the game for yourself in a couple days, or maybe even now if you've discovered this recording a bit later on, because on the day of its publishing, that's when the series of audio recordings is starting to be published, one recording per day. The whole audio tutorial series, all the 15 basic recordings in the basic series, as I was saying at the beginning, and once those are out and released, it's time for the closed private beta. So things are definitely moving on. I know some of you who were familiar with Eurofly before and may have been waiting for version 3 may have had your doubts, or may have lost faith in the development team, and may have started thinking that no version 3 is ever going to come out at all, ever, and that it's all just empty promises. So I hope this recording helps at least partially to eliminate that doubt. And for those of you who have never even played Eurofly before at all, who have discovered the game for the first time via this recording, but got interested and excited about the game and can't wait to try it hands-on for yourself, I wish you the best of success, the best of luck, as few crashes and stalls as possible. I wish you to become a good pilot soon, and perhaps better than I am, sooner than I did. And I can't wait to meet you in the air, at work, each of us flying to our respective destinations, and perhaps to have a chat on the communicator. That was your first official English Eurofly 3 demo for you. My name is Lukas. I'm part of the development team. I hope you liked it. Thanks for watching or listening. Thanks for your attention. And see you next time in one of the next recordings or in Eurofly 3 itself.